Welcome to the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast, a podcast where we provide tips and tricks to take the confusion out of learning to play guitar. Beginner Guitar Academy is a fast-growing online guitar school taking you from complete beginner to well-rounded guitarist. So are you ready for your next guitar lesson?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Here's your host, Amazon best-selling author of the book Learn to Play Electric Guitar, Paul Andrews.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Beginner Guitar Academy podcast. And this week I'm going to be answering the question, where can I expect to be after 6 months of playing guitar? Now, before we dive into this week's topic, I just want to go over a little bit of member news. So Beginner Guitar Academy members, if you head over to the Academy, I've just uploaded last week's workshop. And that was Learn to Play 5 Eric Clapton riffs. And we went over Wonderful Tonight, we went over Bad Love, we went over Crossroads, Layla, and Sunshine of Your Love. So 5 iconic classic Clapton riffs. And I've presented them in beginner and full recorded versions. So it should be something there for everyone. And that is waiting for you right now in the Academy. Also, just to remind you that on Sunday, 25th of April, we have our next workshop, how to set up an amp and use effects. Now that is at 6:30 p.m. UK time, 11:30 PDT and 1:30 CDT. So a great time for our American members. And you'll find the link for that on the Academy desktop, and you also get an email a couple of days before with the link for the Zoom. Now, if you're not a Beginner Guitar Academy member, what are you thinking? Because we do these workshops every couple of weeks. Head over to Beginner Guitar Academy and sign up for a 2-week trial just for $1. And then you can take one of these workshops. You can have full access to the website and see what you've been missing out on. So now that's out of the way, let's dive in and talk about today's topic, which is where can I expect to be after 6 months of playing guitar? So in this week's episode, I'm going to be answering the question, where can I expect to be after 6 months of playing guitar? Now, this is a really common question I hear from beginner guitar players, and for good reason. Because we all started playing guitar with a goal in mind, and that might be as simple as I want to play a bunch of songs at my next family barbecue, or maybe something a bit more ambitious, such as I want to become the next Jimi Hendrix. Now, whatever it may be, it's nice to have a little idea of how long that's going to take you, how long it's going to take to get you there, and you know how much time you're going to have to put in for it. Now, it's also important to have realistic expectations because you might have been inspired to pick up the guitar because of your favorite band, and you watch them and they make it look easy, jump around the stage, but still managing to hit the right notes and create awesome music. Unfortunately, though, what you see on stage is the result of hundreds, more likely thousands of hours practice off the stage. So they make it look easy, but actually there's a lot of hard work that's gone into it. Now, if you Google how long does it take to learn something, the first result you'll probably get back is an article about the 10,000 hour rule. Now, the 10,000 hour rule was originally put forward by the Swedish psychologist Anders Ericsson, but was made popular by Malcolm Gladwell in his best-selling book Outliers. And the idea is it takes an average of 10,000 hours to become really good at something. So let's put that into context. That means 6 hours per day, every day, for just over 4.5 years. Or maybe 3 hours a day for 9 years. Or more realistic to maybe a guitar player, 30 minutes per day. That's going to take you 60 years. Now, before you go and quit your job, lock yourself away in a dark room and just start practicing all day, the good thing to know is the 10,000 hour rule does kind of work out as an average, but it works out if you want to be the best in the world. So when Anders Ericsson came up with this idea or saw the results in his studies and it kind of pointed as 10,000 hours, he was looking at the best performers. That's what you got to be putting in to become the top in your field. Now, I'm guessing people that listen to this podcast will be happy just playing a buzz-free C chord and not really that worried about becoming the best guitar player in the world. So that's the good news. For us, we're not worried about the 10,000 hour rule, but I thought that'd be a good topic just to bring up, or good idea just to bring up, because you're going to see it battered around this 10,000 hours. But you've got to bear in mind, that's to become the best at something. So it's not really going to apply to us as beginner guitar players as a hobby. So now we've got that out of the way, let's return to the original question. So where can you expect to be after 6 months of playing guitar? Now, the good news is I've got some actual hard data on this. So if you don't know already, I obviously run Beginner Guitar Academy, but I also run an offline guitar school, G4 Guitar School, Ashford. And this is in my hometown in Ashford over here in England. And I teach over 100 students a week, and I teach from the G4 guitar method, which we use at Beginner Guitar Academy, as well as obviously my offline school. Now, the reason this is useful for you is because I've put 100 students through this method. So I have accurate data on how long it takes them to pass certain areas of it. So, for instance, passing level 1, and how long that takes and what they can expect to achieve in that amount of time. So, for instance, on average, a student takes roughly 3 to 6 months to complete level 1 of our method. And students that have played before tend to take, 3 months or so. They're more that side of the scale. And then complete beginners tend to take more 6 months. They're more the kind of, obviously, the longer side of the scale. But once they've completed book 1, they can then perform 5 of the most common picking patterns you're going to use to play riffs and solos and that kind of stuff. They can play the C, D, G, A minor, E minor chords, but more importantly, they can change fluently between them. They can play whole, half, and quarter and eighth note rhythms with those chords. They can play a C and G major scale. They can play E minor pentatonic scale and some riffs from there. They've begun reading music, can read notes on the top two strings, so the E and the B string, so 6 notes. They can play basic harmonic and melodic arpeggio patterns, can identify ear, pitch direction, and 8th note strum patterns. And they can play probably about 10 songs. So Beginner Guitar Academy, level 1, I go through 10 songs. But there's also extra songs on the website. We have extra riffs and extra songs. So there's about 30 more. So there's a lot of songs you will learn. Now, if you're interested in what those 10 songs are, you can check out last week's podcast, episode number 20, where I go through the 10 best beginner guitar songs. And those 10 best beginner guitar songs are taken from level 1. They're the normal songs I teach a brand new beginner student. So hence why they're in level 1 of our course. So that's pretty cool. So that's where I'd expect a student of mine to be basically after 6 months, being able to do all of that. So they're fairly proficient. They've got, some strong skills now in the basic chords. They can hold a good rhythm. They can strum simple kind of strummers. Getting some scales down so they can do a bit of improvisation. They've got some note readings. They're starting to now look at actual written music and the notes on the guitar neck. Harmonic arpeggios and melodic arpeggios, and they can now play arpeggios, so single note kind of arpeggio lines. They're developing their ear to be able to work out strum patterns from different music and different songs and things like that. And obviously they've got quite a few songs on their belt, putting all those skills together. But this isn't very common, when I have students that come to me from other teachers and different methods and schools and stuff like that, very rarely, and I'd probably say rarely isn't the right word, probably never is probably a better word to use, have I ever found someone that is rounded enough to be able to perform everything that I've just listed above. And I've searched, many Facebook groups and forums that I'm members of. And guitar players normally after about 6 months to a year have got the basic open chords down. They've got a few riffs, a few songs, probably the minor pentatonic scale, the major scale. And that's normally about it. I say I've never seen a guitar player round in all 7 of the essential skills, as we would call them. But to help you guys out, the 2 main things you really need to get results, and especially in a short period of time, is a structured method that focuses on the skills. I just talked about the skills. The skills that we do is reading, the arpeggios, the ear training, the picking, the scales, all that kind of good stuff. You need a structured method that focuses on the skills. And the second thing is you need to have frequent, deliberate practice. There are 2 main things you need to make good progress quickly. And it's important to have structure. When learning, a lot of students are just pinballing around different topics. They use something maybe like YouTube. And because there's not so much structure on YouTube, they're learning different techniques and concepts, but they're learning them in the wrong order. So they end up just being confused and frustrated. And they also often tend to be riff junkies, which I really like that expression, meaning they're just learning song after song and little riffs and little bits of songs, instead of learning the kind of universal skills which will enable them to play any song. And that's really the secret to any kind of skill acquisition, anything you're trying to learn. If you can break what you're trying to do into smaller sub-skills, you learn it so much quicker. You see the foundation, you see what actually makes the skill. So you want to learn a language. If you can break down that language into its sub-skills, you can absorb it so much quicker. And obviously as guitar players, breaking it down to its skills. So you see a song, that is a collection of skills. It could be a strum pattern on top of some chords. It may have a solo which has a scale or the notes that are coming from the scale. But you see what I mean? You can break it down into its skill components. Super important to do that. And the other thing I said was frequent deliberate practice. Now, not surprisingly, we need to practice. Everyone knows that, but the key word here is deliberate practice. Deliberate practice refers to a special type of practice that is purposeful and systematic. So while regular practice might include mindless repetitions, deliberate practice requires you to have focused attention and is conducted with a specific goal of improving performance. Simple as that. So the normal practice you might do is just play a few chords and go around in circles. Deliberate practice is playing a particular chord progression at a particular speed and working on a particular maybe technique. So you want to keep a finger down and rooted, or you want to try and change without your fingers coming too far away from strings. It's got to be really focused, and that's how you're going to get better quicker. That's how you're going to get faster progress. So if you want to make the best progress, to say, in the first 6 months, you've got to make sure you're following a structured method, and you need to have frequent deliberate practice. And ideally, the length of practice, I always recommend my students about half an hour and most days of the week. So, 4, 5, 6, obviously 7 days a week would be amazing, but anything like that will be fantastic. Anything less than that, you'll probably get frustrated because it's going to be slow. So that's really the secret. Little and often is always the secret. Now, the good news, if you are a Beginner Guitar Academy member, this is already baked into the site, as I follow the G4 guitar method, which is structured and it utilizes all of the skills. So it's going to really help you develop the fundamental skills that we need to develop. And I actually walk you through this in the classes. I walk you through the 7 essential skills, and I walk you through deliberate practice techniques to help you basically embed them. Now, if you're not a member of Beginner Guitar Academy, then I'd strongly recommend come and check us out, as I've worked super hard over the past few years to create the online school, and it's going to allow you to become the best guitar player you can be in the shortest possible time. And the minute you can join for a 2-week trial just for $1, get full access to the site, full access to me as well. And if we're not a good fit for you, you spent You spent $1, sorry. If we are a good fit for you, you can continue. It's $39 a month. And that includes, say, access to the site, the lessons, the classes. That includes quick tips. That includes all the workshops, all the workshop recordings. That includes the community, where I'm in there answering questions every day as a part of the community, which is private coaching, where you can put videos or just have a conversation with me, completely private, no one else sees it. So basically, one-on-one lessons for the price that I'd probably normally charge for just one workshop. We do 2 workshops a month. So it's a crazy price. It really is. So if that sounds of interest, you want to come and check it out, head over to beginnerguitaracademy.com and you can sign up there. And I look forward to seeing you in the community, getting to know you and helping you become a good guitar player. And there we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast. And if you're listening to this thinking, well, I've not got as far as Paul said in 6 months, then I'd recommend coming to check out Beginner Guitar Academy, and I'll help you get better quicker. So don't forget to like and review this podcast in whatever app you're using, and also subscribe in whichever app you are using so you don't miss out on future episodes. Speaking of future episodes, I'll see you next week for next week's episode. Take care, keep practicing, and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the Beginner Guitar Academy podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, updates, or to start your membership today, please visit us at www.beginnerguitaracademy.com. Until next time, take care.